Hello guys, today I'm going to show you what are the easy and low light houseplants that you can grow in the interior of the home. When I started growing houseplants 2-3 years back, I wanted houseplants to grow not just near the windows or outside, but in the interior of the home, near the kitchen, inside of the living room in a dark corner, and that's where I wanted to add green. And I was wondering what are the easy house plants, and today I'm going to show you 5 such easy house plants that I had a great success with, which are easy to grow, affordable, and they can thrive in low lights. And so let's get started. What are the 5 house plants that you can easily grow inside your home? The very first house plant that you can easily grow in the inside of the home, which can thrive in low light, is the pothos. It's a very common plant. Any houseplant YouTube video you watch, you would always find this plant. Even though it's very common, it's highly underrated and it can thrive inside the interior of the home. There are various varieties of pothos I can see here. The first variety is the golden pothos. And as you can see here, I've grown in 10 feet from the window of the east facing window. If you keep close to the window, you will get a golden color leaves. If you keep inside the home where there is not sunshine, the leaves will turn green because it has to photosynthesis, and so it needs a lot of green. The advantage of this plant over the other plants is it can grow faster, and so when you're starting houseplant, you want to plants that can grow and you can see life and you can see growth, and so this can survive inside the home. If you want to add greenery near your kitchen or some interior home where you don't get enough life and where you also want to see the plant grow, I would suggest easily add this plant to your collection. Even though people will get fancied out or about the other varieties of the plant like calithias and all, I would suggest this the best plant for low light you should grow. As you can see, I have a bunch of other varieties of pothos. The plant that you see here, it's a bushy, it's called neon pothos. Obviously the color is neon, the leaf color is, that's why it's called neon pothos. This plant would require a little bit of a higher light, and so it'll go better if it is closer to the window. Obviously these plants, if you keep inside the house, 2 things will happen. One is the size of the leaf will become small as it doesn't get enough sunlight. Also the stem will become leggy, but still it will grow inside the house. The leaves will turn into darker green color if it's inside the home. The golden pothos, the green variety, obviously will grow inside the home. This one you need to keep closer to the window. But these are all relatively easy to take care of. There are other 2 varieties which are relatively moderate in terms of care to take care of. One is, this is Enjoy, Pothos Enjoy. It has a white and a green color variegation. It'll grow slower, and you need to keep closer to the window, this plant. The next plant in terms of difficulty of the pothos is this ice queen pothos. You might have heard a marble queen pothos. This is a similar variety where there is a marbling in the leaves, where there is a white color variegation. And so this is much more slower variety. This is icy queen, where you can see some of the leaves are fully yellow or white in color, and so this will grow very, very slow, and so these are all you need to keep closer to the window. So the first variety of the plant inside the home, underrated, but I would highly recommend, is the pothos. The second plant that I would advise you should get for growing interior of the home, which is low light plant, also a beginner plant, is this plant. Is Sansevieria Trifascia. This is also called as a snake plant, or also called as mother-in-law tongue plant. And this plant requires very little water. You can water once a month and all. And even in the winter, you need not water it at all. Again, this plant will thrive if you give it more light, but it can grow slowly, or it can survive inside the interior of the home. As you can see here, I've kept this plant behind me, and it is from 10-15 feet from the east facing window, where I don't get even enough light, but it really thrives. So you need not water this plant. You can water this plant when the soil is absolutely dry. Again, this you can get it at $10 for this much size in IKEA or Home Depot, and it can really grow well. So this plant also will release oxygen in the night, as it's a desert growing plant, and so it can purify the air. So it's highly recommended by the NASA, one of the air purifying plants. So the next second variety is the snake plant. So the second plant I recommend is the snake plant. The third easy house plant that can grow in the inside of your home or the interior of the home very safely, very common, is this plant called ZZ plant, Zamiococcus zamiofolia. This plant used to grow in the East Africa, but now it's very common in the Asia and countries as well as across the world. This plant needs very, very less water. It will grow well if you give moderate amount of light, but I've kept it in a very dark corner, so I'm not seeing it grown at all. It's a very, very slow growing plant, but it can survive inside the dark corners of the home. So again, very easy to take care of. The only thing you have to watch out for this plant and the snake plant is watering. If you don't water at all, it will survive, but if you overwater, that's one of the easy reasons to kill this plant. So third plant, very easy to grow for, very easy to care, is ZZ plant. The fourth plant that I would recommend that can grow in the interior of home very safely, which can produce a beautiful white colored flower, is this plant called peace lily. Spathiphyllum, this plant is also called as. This can really thrive in low light. I have kept it at the fourth in my ranking. The reason is you have to water this plant correctly. The way to find out water is when it needs water, all the leaves will droop and you have to water that immediately. But it can grow in the interior of the home and it can thrive. In fact, I've kept it behind me about 10-15 feet from the window. This is the fourth recommendation. Very easy, it can grow in the interior home. The plant that takes the fifth place, there are many candidates, but in my book, I'll give this to philodendron. There are various types of philodendron, but the plant that can thrive in low light relatively well is this green color leaf plant. Shape of a heart is called heart leaf philodendron. So this plant can grow in the interior of the home with moderate or low light for that matter. Only the size of the leaf will become small, but still it will grow, and so you can add green to your interior home. So I would suggest this plant. There are various varieties of this plant. This is another variety. It's called philodendron Brazil. It's a very similar variety. As you can see here, it has the color of the Brazil flag, yellow, green, and a different shade of. And so this needs some amount of light, so I won't suggest for an interior home. But it's a similar variety. You need to give some amount of light, so I would suggest you have to keep closer to the window if you're an east facing or a north facing window. So these are the 5 plants that you can easily take care of and you can grow inside interior of the home. There are tons of videos in the YouTube on growing low light plants and beginner plants. So this is my take on my 5 rankings of the house plants. Hope you like it. Until next time, bye bye.